Number 5. Grab and holster every gun like an assault rifle. Every single goddamned start of every mission and sometimes during has Shepard reaching for an assault rifle that may not be there. Number 4, marketing. The E3 demo mistakes.
Servers just don't quit, do they?
They're indoctrinated. They're capable of anything.
As opposed to the public demo and full game.
Cerberus isn't fooling around. They're capable of anything.
Then the various trailers, which sucked in comparison to various fan-made trailers made by Microbiddy, GenoBoost, or Vendo233, some even using the same music months ago and still did a better job than newly released trailers gave us. No offense, of course, to the guy who made those. These trailers pale in comparison to the Mass Effect 2 trailer and its marketing campaign. Then there's the goddamn hawking of random crap paraphernalia on their Facebook page, and they're still doing it. Yeah, I suddenly want to buy a $400 Mass Effect replica Predator gun or a $70 hoodie. That's more than the damn game. And the game's price got cut on average in half in 3 months. I could buy 4 units of EA stock for that price if I wanted, but, I totally wouldn't. And as an aside, who the hell would wear a sweatshirt when talking to Citadel counselors? And why the hell didn't Femship get a leather jacket? That N7 dress and tacky necklace looks goddamn awful. The cover art is at least less offensive than Mass Effect 2's, though still pretty stupid. And the fact that they had a Femship voting and a Femship trailer, just stop this. Stop bending over backwards for your asinine LCD rabid ADHD fanbase who don't care about your pret-a-porter stories so long as they get their stupid love scenes or hairstyles or whatever the hell they want. Number 3. People's responses. Part A. The developers. When your silence forces fans to send you 400 cupcakes trying to tell you there's something wrong with your game, there's something wrong with your game. Eat the cupcakes while fixing it. Don't give them to charity, you'll need all the help you can get. Have a few slices of humble pie while you're at it. Then eat the whole pie. Throw in some fish, too, and as far as the whole analogy goes, motivation, humility, and most importantly, intelligence are some pretty good qualities to have when remaking, editing, extending, or whatever it is you do to not make the biggest pile of rubbish ever not suck. When your fans start a campaign to raise thousands of dollars for charity over how bad your story is, you have a bad story. Fix it. Some fans of the campaign got angry because they thought the money should have gone to the developers. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Give the people even more money to fix a product they didn't finish? Are you nuts? The fact that the CEO of the company has to talk about the ending of the game shows you there's a problem. Never mind he didn't apologize for anything. You know other Canadian companies that had a CEO talk directly to the customers? Yeah, Nortel and RIM. The fact that BioWare had to even release an extended cut because their ending is the worst ending in the history of storytelling and people complained and they're not even apologizing for any of it takes something. I don't know if it's pride or ego, stupidity, or a combination. Writers by nature have to be a bit egotistical, but I certainly don't recall hearing anything from anyone in the Mass Effect 3 team trying to defend themselves or the product or scenes against criticism and the cacophony of questions the ending brought along, or they didn't even address the various and specific permutations of complete bullshit that was thrown on the screen. There was absolutely nothing. Zero. Niente. I dare you. All anyone from the team had to say was, "We're sorry." Or, "Whoops, we screwed up." Yeah, I totally see that because I have eyes that are connected to a brain, and I wasn't raised by wolves. Hell, even Weird Al can see this.
Admit that the end of this game totally sucked.
I think you mentioned this.
Everyone did. I even had a friend who started an online petition about it.
But no, they can't do that. They can't take off their corporate helmet and be a normal person who has read books and watched movies and played games. I don't know who in HR or management told the team not to say anything, but this silence was deafening. Oh, and by a normal person who has read books, I don't mean that thing. How goddamn long does it take to rewrite a goddamn novel? When is it coming out? Is it ever coming out? Even after you said it would come out? What the hell is wrong with you people and your sheer stupidity toward writing? You used to be good. And why couldn't they just answer mail? Or did they realize they screwed up so bad they're embarrassed to talk about it? I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Even in my videos I make a lot of mistakes. And people point that out. That's why I make them, to test my understanding of what I know so I can have a public forum and my questions can hopefully get answered, although they usually don't. And then when you finally make a public address, you quote Penny Arcade and other places to defend yourself. I don't know what that proves. There's no direct response to the questions. It's just some other guy's opinion. You're just saying casual gamers who like webcomics may like your game when the arguments for why it was bad are not opinion pieces. They're just facts. Big, giant errors found in the story and the gameplay. Well, guess what, Casey? Mass Effect fans are hardcore. They like stories and characters and geeky things that involve a lot of reading, dialogue, and exposition. Stop making bullshit. Part B. The fans. And if you thought the developers were nuts, we have the fans. Case in point, yours truly. I'm not talking about the retake Mass Effect 3 guys. That's totally cool. I'm also not talking about Kubismo, that goddamn ice cream awesome thing on a whole new level. No, you've got a real gem, a real brilliant skill at telling a story when the average fan can't make any sense of your bullshit ramblings. That they were so depressed and angry and sad and whatever other negative feelings they were feeling. Not because you told a sad or angry story, but because it was so poorly told, grade schoolers could do better writing than you could. Editing, I guess, too. But when it's this bad, fans have to invent their own interpretation in the form of something called headcanon. And with the power of the internet, groupthink takes over. Welcome to the indoctrination theory. The biggest collective House of Cards conspiracy fan circle jerk I have ever seen. I mean, look at these views. Fan base, just because a story has mind control in it and a scene that makes absolutely no logical referential lore or believable sense, doesn't mean that everything you see is a dream. It could, and it certainly implied, something weird was happening, but to start analyzing it with this in mind as a conspiracy is just retarded. And even if the extended cut changed the last 20 minutes to prove it, it still wouldn't make sense. When something starts feeling wrong, when the context and style is off and then the content is just gone too, it's also a sign that the writers have lost it. They're writing over their heads into a corner or any assortment of bad scenarios you can think of. Each scene in a story needs a relative and appropriate setup because stories are progressive. They build upon themselves. If this was a consistent storytelling style or theme, then you might have a chance of it being a big plot reveal. But that doesn't happen. Quite the contrary. 2 times does the narrative tell us the main character isn't indoctrinated, nor going through its stages.
Indoctrinated presence detected. Activating security protocol.
But don't overstay your welcome.
You are attempting to recover me from indoctrinated forces?
Yes. I need to know what the catalyst is.
Indoctrination is a slow process. There are stages starting from hearing whispers and then ultimately becoming a husk. But there is no mention of a middle ground, and to speculate that dreaming and other nonsense is something like that is, well, pure speculation. If Mass Effect 3 was the progression in story of Shepard's subtle indoctrination, well, you're wrong. They didn't tell that story. It's not there. The 3 dreams were just dreams, symbolizing whatever the flying Normandy interpretive dreams are supposed to mean. It could have been something else, and aside from just Shepard dreaming, all we understand is some entity is reading Shepard's mind for some reason, and that's never explained. Throughout the series, the narrative is clear on how indoctrination works, with multiple examples in every game. Mass Effect 3 even had a scene with an uncertain colleague about what Cerberus might have done to Shepard to bring him back, and whether he's being controlled by them. And then there was a main plot point on the effects of husks and indoctrination, but that had nothing to do with Shepard. We could have learned about Shepard's resurrection and why he had the similar pattern pupils as the elusive man who becomes indoctrinated, but no, we never learned about that. Shepard even gets to talk about what it means to be alive or brought back, finally, which would have been a pretty good time to have a plot reveal, or even foreshadow a later plot reveal that Shepard is in fact indoctrinated. But it never happened. There's no proof. It was just a poorly thought out and composed ending that was rushed. The worst ending in history to my knowledge, but nonetheless. Compare movies like Fight Club, A Tale of Two Sisters, Memento, and The Sixth Sense. Each of these movies lie to us in a certain way, but at least only Fight Club does it without alienating the audience and provides alternate plots that make sense. It's still a bit hard to swallow, but they do a decent job of covering their asses. All these stories have a reveal in the plot of what is actually going on. Whereas Fight Club was brilliant in the many political, social, and sexual allegories you can interpret from it, the narrative of Mass Effect 3 is designed for idiots. Might I remind you, these are the same people who made Mass Effect 2, the definitive popcorn summer blockbuster of illogical contrived plot hole melodrama. Nothing in those narratives were or had giant dreamscapes or fantastical abstract visionary quests into Shepard's psyche because Shepard doesn't have one. They just had the Prothean visions in Mass Effect 1. That's all. In Mass Effect 2 they meant nothing, and in Mass Effect 3 all they care about is the cipher for some reason. Shepard just dreams of a little boy that gets set on fire. You can't create a massive plot twist without properly setting it up, and then nothing. Number 2, Legion.
Error. Copying code is insufficient. Direct personality dissemination required. Shepard Commander, I must go to them. I'm sorry. It's the only way.
Never mind his somewhat untrustful, erratic behavior during the story, and that could somewhat be explained, but this? Direct personality dissemination required? I must go to them? What, is he Superman? You live on a goddamn hard drive. Copy and paste yourself. You make a copy, but don't execute it like a backup, and by execute I mean running the program, not deleting it, assuming that Geth software in order to be conscious has to be executed. Then disseminate that copy and upload it. It wouldn't be conscious. Or if you want to be sacrificial, disseminate yourself after you make a copy. Then move that copy over to your platform. For Legion to purposefully die, the narrative had to tell us either technically or somehow that this is physically possible, and making a backup or copy was not, or how Legion purposely wants to die and has to. Because as is, he's just being stupid. He's software. Nothing was stopping him from making a copy. In today's information age, a writer writing about AI wouldn't even have to consult a computer scientist over this at all. He's software. And I also don't see how changing one's grammar suddenly makes Legion an individual, or even how Edie says he was an individual, or how he wasn't one before. What was the point of making a Dyson sphere so all Geth could be left alone and think together, and then, oh, now we're all AIs, or true AI, or whatever that even means. But hey, Legion's the guy who wanted Shepard to go through a bizarre, slow version of Tron as a result of the worst DLC ever because he couldn't clean up his own database and couldn't just make his YouTube clips public in the hopes of opening up dialogue for peace with the Quarians, even if he could have personally met Admiral Chorus, who openly wanted peace with the Geth. He could have made peace right there, or at least started it. During Tali's loyalty mission, this was the first instance where Quarians didn't kill the Geth. But because his kind are stupid isolationists, and Mass Effect 2 is the definition of stupidity, the Quarians finally attack in force, and instead of having the Geth wave the white flag and finally telling the Quarians they just want peace anyway, or instead of just running away, the Geth decide to side with the Reapers and fight them, even though the Geth don't want to. You know, this is a pretty big galaxy. You don't have to stay on a planet that isn't yours. I understood how and why Thane died, and as stupid as Morden's STG minefield walking skill was, I understood why he died and why he wanted to sacrifice himself, even if he did sort of contradict himself in a certain playthrough. But once again, Mass Effect 3 undermines itself, all for the sake of unbelievable, contrived, forced, ham-fisted drama. And what the heck is he doing to that orb thing? Is he going to launch a fireball at something? Is this Street Fighter? Are we watching cartoons here? And what the hell is this supposed to be? It looks like life? Really? Okay, compared to what? A plant? A cell? What is this thing? What are we looking at here? How is it life? Describe it, Mac. What is this thing? Tell me. Number 1, why aren't we figuring out how to stop Reapers? If the whole story is about getting the galaxy together to stop the big bad guys, why don't we figure out how to do that? The only plan we gave the Council was to band together and the Crucible. The narrative had already shown us multiple ways to stop Reapers, and no, I'm not talking about breaking something in a device to make it work somehow. The Turians want the Krogans to fight a space war on the ground so we can borrow their ships, and the Asari aren't helping, and then, oh yeah, they totally got this, and then the Solarians are just, nothing's making sense here. So instead of moving troops around that are just going to die on the ground, why not pursue these available options that involve actually stopping Reapers? Using fleets conventionally. Sovereign. The Battle of the Citadel. It was unclear how we actually won, but we did get some technology and data on how we killed this thing. What did we learn? Apparently nothing. This would have been a great opportunity for Liara to talk about the data we found while defeating Sovereign, as opposed to some random new other thing. But it did give us the Phoenix Cannon, which blows away the Collector Cruiser in 2 shots, and is now mounted on fighters and frigates, meaning these little guys. So why aren't we testing it out? Why don't we flying fast bomb a Sovereign-class Reaper, get out, and see what happens? The Reapers are just standing around. Let's see if we can bomb them from orbit. EDI is an enhanced defense intelligence who defends against network attacks. Why wouldn't we start learning how to use those defenses as offenses? Or, at the very least, start putting together different versions of EDI on different ships so they can at least defend themselves against Reaper cyber warfare attacks. And yes, this is beginning to sound like Star Trek, but hey, it makes sense. Then there's the Dead Reaper on Rannoch, where we had the Quarian fleets there. They just didn't seem very effective when hitting the Reaper when it was covering itself in that powerful armor. So why don't we start researching that Reaper's corpse and figure out how to penetrate its hull better? Or learn to make that hull for us? Did it even have shields? This seems like a perfect opportunity to research and exploit an enemy's weakness. But we never do it, because we're too busy with this magical other thing. The Battle at Earth, where we destroy a Reaper just fine, and it didn't seem too difficult if we have the proper magical point score. It seems like there's no casualties. And if that's the case, then all we needed was just a lot more ships, and boom. Dead Reapers. Screw this flying microphone thingy, we just win. The Klindigan weapon. It may be defunct, but we know what it does. It kills Reapers. That would have been the perfect thing to steal from Cerberus. Answer me this. What is more important, a massive magical device that we have to build from scratch, that was never worked and no one knows what it does or how it will do it, whatever it is it will do, and whose plans are incomplete, or a defunct weapon that we know kills Reapers? Calros. As a joke by Joker, this is good because it addresses the importance and impossibility of this being an option.
The Reapers are more fallible than they proclaim. Despite its best efforts, the one on Tuchanka was destroyed by a worm.
Canes. Destroys Reapers that have Hades cannons on their backs, though strangely doesn't work on baby Reapers within one shot. Maybe like how the Widow gun got it upgraded from Mass Effect 2. Either way, this thing works. It kills Reapers. Forget it using ground troops from the Krogans or the Asari or whatever. Just manufacture these things and hand them out to your existing forces. They'll do just fine. Thanix missiles, which are apparently just as strong as Canes or the fleets of Rannoch, so why not get more of these missiles? Give a few of them to Steve. I'm sure he'd fit them on a shuttle and make him go out in a blaze of glory. Steve! But hey, this is my list. I'm sure you had your own moments where you went, that's weird. Feel free to leave a comment, and thanks for watching.